Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Arnold and welcome to Dade DNA Discovery. So this video is going to be all about my documentary and the steps I took to find my history of my family. And this video just essentially entails all there is to know about the Dade family, history, significant events, pictures, videos, anything that I could really grab and get my hands on. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video and learn a thing or two about my history and my family and my ancestry. So enjoy. So a very significant resource that I was actually able to use all throughout my discovery to finding my history was this book right here. This book was essentially provided to me by my mom. So thank you so much to her for providing me with this. I kind of forgot that this was honestly published because it was published in the area that the Dade family is primarily from, which is Warrenton, Virginia, Fauquier County, Virginia. So this book essentially entails just all the family trees that make up the Dade family. I was honestly very intrigued reading this book because it does have a lot of pictures and very detailed documents that were displayed all throughout the book, which I really appreciated because I was able to see all the people that I descend from. So now let's dive into just more about the Dade family and kind of what went on during a lot of their lives. So during the 1900s, the Dade family did still reside in Warrenton, Virginia, and they basically resided in Warrenton until most of them passed away. So a lot of the Dade family, they just were really known to just stay put. But there were also a vast majority of the Dade family who also resided in Culpeper, Virginia. So many more of the Dade family did end up leaving Warrenton to pursue better opportunities and just better jobs and or jobs that really provided for their families and for them as individuals, because Warrenton is very rural. It is not technically a city, and it didn't have that much for the Dade family to really like jobs for them to seek, and just maybe if they didn't even want to do the things that were provided as far as jobs for Warrenton and Culpeper, Virginia, they wanted to pursue more out there jobs rather than staying put. So for the vast majority of the Dade family that did move out and pursue better job opportunities, they relocated to Detroit, Michigan, primarily at the Ford Motor Plant, and as well as Pittsburgh. And this obviously was a big thing for Black people. Pittsburgh was very known for their steel mills and coal mines. So the city of Pittsburgh was cavalier for obviously the Industrial Revolution, but more specifically for steel. And a lot of Black people that went into very labor intensive jobs, they were able to pursue job opportunities in Pittsburgh because obviously a lot of coal mines and steel mills were seeking people to work. And of course, Black people were, in need of jobs because the Dade family was born free. So they had the ability to not only pursue job opportunities, but to work. And so they were kind of, at an advantage compared to slaves who did not have the opportunity to go out and pursue jobs that they wanted to get into. So when the Dade family, or at least a lot of them, when relocating, they actually cut ties with a lot of their family back in Virginia when they moved on and pursued a better life and were able to get a lot out of their lives way more than they would staying in Warrenton and Culpeper, Virginia. So they cut ties with a lot of their family in Virginia, and primarily the whole Dade family was passing. And something I found while reading the book that I was provided to aid me in my research was so a lot of free blacks were essentially lighter in color, typically in the North. So they were able to really be skilled in their jobs. At least for my family, a lot of the men served in the military, but then a lot of them did once they were able to go out into the workforce and obtain amazing jobs. So the Dade family, or at least the last name, is spelled Dade. However, during the 1900s, the last name was very hard for people listening to understand. So a lot of the Dade family inevitably changed their last names to Day, so Day, just so it wasn't mixed up, because I think that Day last name would be taken when people would say, oh, my last name is Dade. Dade. It wouldn't really ring a lot of bells. It was super hard to hear and for people to understand. So that is obviously a very important thing, because a lot of my ancestors, while researching, I was like, oh my gosh, this Day last name keeps coming up, and I know that the last name is Dade, and I was just kind of confused, and I later found, and through researching, that they inevitably changed their last name. Not the vast majority, but a few of them did. So during my discovery and my research, I found that my great-grandfather, Clarence E. Dade Sr., he was a craftsman, and he had little to no education, barely finishing the 8th grade. And he essentially learned everything he needed to know when it came to being a craftsman from his grandfather. He obtained all this information. This all took place in the Plains, Virginia, which was very rural. Just about nothing is out there. So being a craftsman, my great-grandfather was at an advantage. And my great-grandfather, his grandfather, was actually a Mennonite. So he walked everywhere. He was very knowledgeable and really just taught my great-grandfather a lot of information that he did not know. Had he, continued pursuing an education, but that got him very far, and he was very well respected at Georgetown University, being on their team of craftsmen, and he was head of a lot of construction that took place on Georgetown University's campus, which is located in Washington, D.C. First, I would like to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with me. I wanted to begin this interview by asking you to just give us a brief introduction of your name, who you are, and your relationship to me, and just anything else you'd want to add very briefly.
My name is Celeste Dade Arnold, and I am your mom. I was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in the area we call the DMV. So I mainly grew up in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. My father was Clarence Dade. He was married to my mom, Cecilia.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to begin the questions. So my first question is, where did our family originate?
Okay, the Dade family originated from Virginia, which is the seat of slavery, where they brought the slaves when they first, came to America. They brought them to Jamestown, Virginia, and yes, we originate from Virginia.
Great. So considering where our family originated from, were our family slaves?
Interestingly enough, we were born free, which made it easier for genealogists to trace our family, I think all the way back up to the 1800s, but maybe even beyond. But So because if, slaves were not, their history wasn't really traceable, so the fact that we were born free made it easier to trace back. And it's widely believed that our family originated from an Irishman named Daniel Dade and a Native American woman.
So, my third question is, how do you feel like the family's freedom impacted educational opportunities and economic mobility?
I do believe it probably had more opportunities, because they were born free and because they were known in the community. I mean, even to this day, people know the Dade family. They know, they've heard of the Dades. They're just very well known, very well respected in the area of Virginia that we come from. Like, my own father was able to went to college, went to Virginia State University, and he had other cousins who were able to obtain college degrees. And so even though they had humble beginnings, they were able to go to college and to be educated at a higher level, which helped them to procure high level jobs in the government and private sector, which I think helped them with their economic mobility.
Okay, so my fourth question is, how has the well-documented family history impacted your pride in being a part of the family?
I have a great deal of pride being descendant, the Dade family. I'm so proud that a book was published about our family, and people can purchase the book. The book I've seen it in stores in Warrenton, Virginia, where our family is from. And we obviously made a mark in that area, and the fact that we were able to have so much information to pass on to the next generation. And it's just it's interesting to see how we're related, how all these other branches of the family tree are all, related, and to be able to trace back to figure out where you come from. Because without knowing where you come from, you don't know where you're going. So there's just a lot of pride in that.
So, my fifth question is there any historical significance to the Dade name?
Um, we believe, through looking through ancestry, DNA, that there's some type of relationship with Francis Dade, who was in the military, and he believed, the Dade massacre, which happened there in Florida, was named after him. That he led these officers to fight there, and it's now known as Miami-Dade County. So we think that there's a link there. So that's one thing that we've been able to seemingly trace back to, to be connected to the Dade name.
So, my sixth question is there a history of military service in the family?
There's a strong history of military service, mainly because I guess the draft was in effect when, like, my father and his his father and people before him subjected to the draft. But there's a long line of people that served in the military, in the Army, in the Air Force, in the Marines, and it's detailed in the book. And a lot of them are buried with honors in Arlington National Cemetery. And so yeah, they did fight for their country, and very proud of that service.
So my seventh question is, were there any family members who contributed to giving back to the community?
Well, my grandfather was, they worked with their hands. He was very skilled in construction work and built a lot of things that still stand today. He put a second level on the First Baptist Church in Warrenton, and there's a plaque on the wall that I believe has his name and other family members and people that built that. So when we went to a funeral years ago, and it was told to me by my dad that my grandfather had built that second level, had helped build that second level, and he could build things, anything from scratch. I mean, he finished our basement when I was growing up. He was the head construction person at Georgetown University. Was very well respected there, but a lot of them had that, great with their hands and
Right.
great builders, and so it there's a lot of pride seeing that what they built, what they put together, still stands today,
Right.
as a testament to that. Yeah.
Right. And if you could provide us the name of your grandfather, so.
Yeah, my grandfather was Clarence Edward Dade Sr., and my dad was named after him. He was Junior.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So to wrap this up, my final question is, what is something that you would want to know more about the family that has been left unanswered?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I would like to know maybe what other things, notable things that the Dade family did that impacted the community that they lived in a positive way, how they gave back, how they served the community, didn't just take from the community, but gave back and were good citizens. And I'd like to know what else they did in that effort. Yeah, I guess that would be it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you again for joining me. Just so everyone knows, this is my mom. And I just really appreciate you for taking time out of your day to speak with me and answer these questions. And thank you also for contributing to my documentary. And yeah, that wraps up the interview.